lately I've really been trying to figure out how to do the work when it feels like shame is the biggest thing.
Mm,
So it's really hard for me to, and I'm sure other people have this problem too, of like, something happens. Like most recently, a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I feel invalidated when you say this," something like that, and and I have such an intense reaction to that of shame, and it's hard for me to do the work when it's like I can't put it on somebody or know how to even put it on myself and into a worksheet. So yeah, I guess any advice with that would be wonderful.
okay, great. Yeah, it's a really great question. Something that comes up, I think, for almost all of us at some point. And at first, it seems like hard to figure that out because the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, which is the main tool for writing down stressful thoughts when you're doing the work, is all about the other person. And sometimes it's like I'm blaming myself or I'm feeling really ashamed. And it's not clear how to proceed. So I can think of two ways that you can approach it, and I'm happy to share that. Basically, the first way is just very direct. For me, shame is um, the thought usually associated with shame for me is I should or I shouldn't, or I should have or I shouldn't have. And so just knowing that can allow me to start that process. So I might just start with a blank. For example, I shouldn't have um, said that to her. Or, um, you said that your friend said, I feel invalidated when you say this. So, yeah, um, I might even play with, I invalidated her or him. That would be another way of doing it. It's not including a should there, but it might work in that case. And just see. You never know when you start doing the work what you're going to find. You may find, yeah, I actually did invalidate them, and okay, good to know. Then I can move on to I shouldn't have invalidated them. But you may find that it wasn't as true as you thought, and so that can be one piece of it. So the should and the shouldn't, should have, shouldn't have, for me, that's where the self blame comes. That's where the shame comes in. That's when I should have done it differently. I should have known better. I should have been more thoughtful. I should have been more sensitive. Anything like that is going to be in the ballpark of, for me, what is making me feel bad about myself. Like, oh my God, I should have been more sensitive. I am sensitive myself. I should have been sensitive. Uh, and and so shame on me, really. That's what the mind tends to think. So when you question that I should have been, say, more sensitive, then it may give a little breathing room to me being a human being rather than being perfect. Because, yeah, I do want to be sensitive. I do want to be as um, as kind and as good with other people as I possibly can. But I'm not perfect. And if I expect that, then it adds a whole lot of extra stress on top of me. So the should and the shouldn't, or the should have or shouldn't have, that's me expecting perfection of myself, where I was not able to deliver on that. And so I find that to be liberating. You can't, like, I don't think it's going to happen. If you're already feeling shame, I don't think you're going to, I think what you're going to find is a balancing when you do this work. But you you don't, what sometimes people worry about is I'm going to take it too far and then I'm going to feel somehow justified to be insensitive from now on or something. But that's not really the way the work works. The work is a balancing act. And so when we're doing the work on I shouldn't have, and we start seeing I should have, it's not saying, oh, I should just now become insensitive forever towards people. It's saying, okay, how's it understandable that I was insensitive in that situation? And how could I be more sensitive? But also, how is it okay that I wasn't perfect there? That's the little balancing act that I find comes when I'm questioning these shoulds or shouldn'ts or should haves or shouldn't have, like that. Okay, so I also said there's a second way that you can play with this, and that is, interestingly enough, using the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, looking at the other person and seeing what your judgments are, maybe they're flash judgments in that situation that are making you feel shame, interestingly enough. Sometimes the shame gets reflected off of another person, and that can be an interesting thing to question as well. So, for example, just using the words you said, like the person said, I feel invalidated when you say this. And then what I could ask myself is, what am I believing about this person that's making me feel shame here? And so it might be, I don't know, they don't like me, or yeah, it might be as simple as that. I don't know, but there's something that I'm imagining they're thinking when they say they feel invalidated that is making me feel shame. Like they, yeah, they don't ever want this to happen again, or they can't handle it. But even that doesn't feel quite it for me. It's more like they don't like me anymore. They are rejecting me, or yeah. So I don't know. It's not my work, so I'm just guessing here. But this is an interesting way to play with. It's not that I'm judging them. I'm judging them, but I'm judging them as judging me. It's kind of that can be a twist there. So it's an open question. What am I thinking about them in the moment when I feel shame? They're blaming me. They are thinking less of me. They have lost respect for me. Like those kinds of thoughts can make me feel a lot of shame. And even though I grab onto it and really hurt myself with it, I'm using them as the mirror that I'm seeing myself in. And it may not even be an accurate mirror. I can exaggerate the unkind version of that vision. They have lost all respect for me. They are ashamed of me. They are horrified by what I did. Like that can be interesting to question. So this is where you can use the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet to work on shame. It's just, what are they thinking about me? But you can also do the direct version of just, I shouldn't have done that. And then maybe the third one was what I kind of slipped in at one point, was just questioning the actual situation, like what they said or what I think that means, or anything related to the feedback they were giving me. So anyway, those are a few ideas just off the top of my head. I don't know if any of those resonate, or if you have any further thoughts or questions about that.
That was all really helpful. I think you even spoke to some thoughts and feelings that I didn't realize I was kind of holding onto. So that was really expansive for me. And as I'm like listening, it's funny because as I'm listening to you and as I'm kind of like sitting with it, and the past few days, all I've been able to feel towards it is shame. And as I'm like kind of getting still with it, I'm like feeling these other thoughts coming up of like, oh, she shouldn't blame me for this. I'm getting a lot of good judge your neighbor
Yes.
material right now
Yes.
as the shame is kind of settling down. So but even the first part about questioning the thought, the should, the shouldn't, because that's a lot of it. Yeah, very helpful. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I think in general, self-attack thoughts, and shame is one of those kinds of self-attack thoughts, they tend to be kind of the secondary reaction. Like first I react by judging the other person, then I react by judging myself. They're kind of, so it's like layered. And so the first thing that you experience is the shame. I feel shame. All I feel is shame. I'm not judging anyone else. I just feel shame. But when you start to look at the shame and you start to get clearer on that, or start to do some work on that, or even just talking about it, what your experience is makes it resonates with my experience that, oh, okay, there's something more underneath the shame, which is I'm actually judging that person. And I didn't even see
Totally.
that because the shame was over top of me. So
Exactly.
that's great.
Exactly.
Yep, we're exploring the mind, we're exploring experience, and when you hold it, when you sit with it, and you look like we're doing here, there's often many different directions you can take. And any one will be a good place to start. One road leads to the next, and all roads lead to Rome. So just pick what feels close enough. Doesn't have to always be the exact thing, perfect stressful thought, but anything in that ballpark, just start playing with it and see where you go, and it can be very exciting to unravel this, because once you get the idea, you start to be able to unravel it sooner, quicker, sometimes even in real time, and that can really change the experience. So thank you for bringing it. Really important topic for many of us.